Hello and welcome to Wine Festival Online. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in today.
What a finale we have with epic ports from Quinta do Noval.
Absolutely. So this is a relatively short session, so it's going to finish us off in style with port. We've got Anna from Quinta do Noval. She's lovely, and there is some amazing photography. Now, these are not manipulated images, these are real images of the Douro Valley, and I would suggest we all imagine, let's transport ourselves for the end of the day to the beautiful Douro Valley.
I'm there already.
Oh.
Am I supposed to be doing something now, saying something now?
No.
You lost me. You've lost me. I'm sorry. I'm there. We visited Noval, and we've been to Douro. We're lucky enough to be to Douro many times, but we visited Noval and we stayed there not too long ago. It's the most magical place, but it's also a place where viticulture's hard. These are incredibly steep slopes. The fruit that's produced is, virtually out of nothing. These sort of hard rock vineyards that are really steeply sloping. This is heroic viticulture.
But wines that are worth it.
And wines that are worth it.
So if you've ordered the wines, you've got 4 wines. And now what we would suggest is Anna actually doesn't open the wines or talk about the wines until right at the end of her video. So we wouldn't do that, would we? We'd say get them open now.
We'd get started straight away.
Really? You've got, so what have you got? The black is the first one that she talks about.
Then the LBV.
LBV 2013. 10-year-old Tawny and 20-year-old Tawny.
That's the order to taste.
Yeah, but you might not want to open all of them. If you do, that's fantastic. If you don't, just open one of them. I'd get cracking, wouldn't you?
And just a tip on that, the Tawny ports, because they're oxidatively aged when they're made, they will tend to last longer, if you like, once you've opened them, than both the black and the LBV. So you might want to
Tawnies are pretty indestructible, aren't they?
Tawnies are indestructible, yeah. But equally, they're absolutely delicious. So
they're all
gorgeous. They'd be pretty destructible.
So if we'd just like to say a final thank you to all our fabulous sponsors today, particularly our headline sponsor, Rathbones. Of course, all the videos from today, including this one, will be live after the event, so you can watch them again, whichever you particularly liked, just watch it again.
Absolutely. We do have a special offer. There is a special offer being run on these Noval wines via Master of Malt. So if you click on the link on our website, on the Quinta Noval masterclass page, you can find that offer. It's a really good. Do check it out especially for the festive season. You may want.
Who doesn't need port?
We all need.
We all need port in our lives around Christmas.
Absolutely. One last thing to say is competitions. So if you're watching this live on the day, then the tasting selfie competition is ending. At the end of this video, we will then make a judgment very, very soon. And equally, the Sharp Eyes competition will be running for a week before we give our final verdict and start distributing prizes.
Lots of prizes, lots of wine, absolutely.
So do take part. Details, are on the website.
Right, we will now hand over to Anna of Quinta do Noval to complete our day with a beautiful visit to the Douro Valley.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Carvalho. I work as Global Brand Ambassador for the wineries of Axel Millésime. And today I'm taking you on a trip to the Douro Valley, a beautiful UNESCO World Heritage World Region where we make fabulous ports. I'm going to present 4 of the ports from Quinta do Noval, all in different styles. But before, I would just like to thank the Winchester Wine Fair for this opportunity. And I'm very happy that we can still participate, even if it's in a virtual way. I'm going to start sharing my screen to show you exactly where Quinta do Noval winery and vineyards are located. Here you can see a map with Portugal. Spain is the gray area. And you can see that the Quinta is in the north of the country, about 1.5 hours from Porto. And even though we are quite close to the Atlantic Ocean, we are actually in the rain shadow of the Marão and Alvão mountains, which makes the Douro Valley a very dry, hot wine region. In this image, you can see just how steep the vineyards in the Douro Valley can be. We are in an area of mountain viticulture. The Douro is the largest mountain viticulture area in the world. It is larger than Côte-Rôtie or the Mosel or the Valais. And in here, we have to work the soil and prune the vineyards and harvest, do everything by hand. So we have a very intense labor in the vineyards from January to December. You can imagine that with these dry stone terraces, you can't access with machines. Most of our area is only accessible by feet. So we have to do even the soil work sometimes with animals. We actually have a donkey, Bonito, who helps us get rid of the weeds in between the rows. So this is a very special vineyard in the Douro. You have also the old 19th century house in this image. This is where we host, where we do wine tastings and visits and dinner sometimes. So if you do come to the Douro Valley, don't forget to stop by Quinta do Noval. It is definitely worth the windy roads up the valley from Porto. Noval is a vineyard of 145 hectares. We are privileged to work with our own fruit. We have also a lot of diversity in the vineyards because we have plots from 50 meters down the hill to 500 meters at the top of the hill. And we have basically all sun exposures. We have plots that are south facing and others that are north facing or west facing. And that gives us a richness of diversity in terms of grapes and flavors that we get too. We work also with several grape varieties. We use Portuguese grape varieties only for port. And port is always a blend. So in your bottle of port, you often have between 5 and 10 different grape varieties, grapes like Touriga Nacional, which is probably the most famous. We also work with Touriga Franca, Tinta Roriz, that's Tempranillo in Spain. We also have Tintucão and Sozão, but many others. It's one of the richness of the Douro is having such a wide variety of grapes. And Quinta do Noval is special also because of this connection we have with this site in Val de Mendige. Noval has the name of its vineyard. Noval is the name of this place. It's not a family name, and it's actually a word that you can't translate. It's the name of a site, a very special site. We have worked this land since 1715. We are one of the oldest port shippers. And 2020 harvest, which we finished just a few days ago, so around the 21st, 22nd of September, was our harvest number 305. So imagine we have a little bit of experience with port making. Our Quinta is also one of the first places that centralized all its operations in the Douro Valley. Historically, many port houses did the aging of their wines and the export of their wines from the city of Vila Nova de Gaia near Porto. Noval was a pioneer when in the 80s we decided to move all our stock from Gaia back to the Douro. And nowadays we do everything from the Douro, from harvesting, vinification, aging, and bottling and export. So we are 100% based in Val de Mendes in the Pinhão Valley. Here you have some more images of the harvest. We use small boxes for our grapes. You want to make sure that the clusters stay whole and intact until they get into the vat. We do sorting by hand when the grapes arrive at the winery. You see the girls are getting rid of any berries that are maybe a bit too green or maybe a bit too shriveled, sometimes leaves that come in the box with the grapes. So we want to make sure that only perfect ripe berries get into the tanks. And we have very different tanks. We don't use stainless steel tanks for our top ports. We still ferment in granite, shallow lagares. A lagar is a shallow granite tank. It's the word we use in Portuguese. And this is where our ports ferment. We will do food threading every night. At Quinta do Noval, we keep traditions alive. So we will always have a team of about 10 people per tank to do the threading. This is to go from whole cluster to juice. So it's a workout. It's a workout because they do it for 3 hours from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. every night during harvest time, which means we do this for over a month every year. Again, if you do come to the Douro, September is a pretty magical month to visit because you will get to see this. And if you're brave, you can even try it and participate in the food threading. The wine will ferment in these granite tanks for about 3-4 days. It's a short maceration for port making because when we reach the right amount of sugar and alcohol, when we reach the right balance, we will add wine brandy to the juice to stop fermentation. Port is a fortified wine because we add strong alcohol, basically neutral alcohol, to the fermenting juice to kill the yeast and stop fermentation. And this allows us to achieve a port that will be around 19.5% alcohol and that will have some sweetness, around 100 grams per liter of residual sugar. After the vinification, the wine will go to sleep. It will have some rest for a few years or for many years, depending on the style of port we are making. We have in our cellars 2 main types of barrels. We have large wooden vats that we call túneis in Portuguese, and we use them for ruby styles like the Noval Black, for example, or the late bottle vintage. And then we have smaller casks that we call cascos that we use for the tawny styles of port, like the 10-year-old tawny or the 20-year-old tawny. The difference between these 2 main families of port is the aging. For ruby, the wines will stay for only a few years in large wooden vats, and they are not in contact with air, so they will keep the fresh dark fruit. They will have aromas of blackberry and blueberry, and sometimes even taste a bit like dark chocolate. They preserve the dark fruit of harvest and also a dark ruby color. When we want to make tawny styles, we put the wine into smaller casks and the wine goes through oxidative aging. That means that these casks, they are not completely full. They have a little bit of headspace. And being smaller also means that there is more exchange with the air. So you have more oxygen coming into the barrel and slowly oxidizing the wine. And that's why tawny port has a lighter orange-brown color. And the aromas, they are more of dried fruits like walnuts or hazelnuts. So the main difference between these 2 families is the type of aging. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now to show you a few of our ports. We brought to the festival our Noval Black Reserve. This is one of my favorites. This is a modern take on port wine. It's a port that you don't need to age, that you don't need to decant. You can drink it chilled, straight out of the fridge, and it's very easy to open. It comes with a bar top, and you can keep it after opening for about a week or two, no problem, if it's in the fridge. The other thing you can do with Noval Black that it's a lot of fun is cocktails. If you're into mixology, you can definitely have some fun with Noval Black. We sometimes serve it simply on the rocks with a bit of mint and zest of lemon at the Quinta at the end of hot summer days. That's a great way to have this wine, or just on its own with a bit of dark chocolate on the side. That can also be really delicious. And then we'll see the late bottle vintage. This is LBV 2013 in my hands. LBV is already a more serious style of port. What I mean is it is a wine that is more full-bodied, it has more tannin, more structure. It's a wine that you can actually age. It comes with a long natural cork. And it's a wine that is unfiltered. So if you wish, you can age our LBVs for up to 15 years, no problem. LBVs from Quinta do Noval are very close to a vintage port style. It's like a baby vintage. We are famous for vintage port, so we wanted to make sure that our LBVs are as close in style as possible to the vintage port of Quinta do Noval. It's a style that is a bestseller. Everyone loves LBV, and it's also a style that we cherish because Noval was a pioneer in the LBV style. We created our first LBV in '58 with LBV 1954, one of the first quintas in the Douro to make this style of port that nowadays is so popular. I will now move into the Tawny family. We have two different Tawnies, the 10-year-old and the 20-year-old. These wines are made by blending several vintages to achieve an average age of 10 or an average age of 20 years. The longer it stays in barrel, the more caramelized the flavors will be. So on the 10-year-old, you still have some red fruit. You have a lovely balance between the sherry flavors and the nutty flavors that came with oxidative aging. A 10-year-old Tawny is something I would recommend trying with salted cheese, like a Parmesan, for example, or an aged cheddar. It can be really delicious. You can also have it with desserts that have toffee flavors, like a creme brulee or a tarte tatin can be very nice, a caramelized apple tart. Otherwise, if you are more adventurous with your pairings, you can definitely pair it with savory food too. We pair it, for example, with curry very often. It's very nice with a curry. You serve it chilled and it will bring down the heat of the curry and marry very well with the ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon flavors that the wine has. It will really complement the spicy flavors that you find in a curry. And to finish, of course, our 20-year-old Tawny. This is a wine that I would have on its own almost as a meditation wine, a wine to sip slowly. If you're reading a nice book or at the end of a long week, relaxing with friends, it's just so complex and so long. This is a wine that will stay in your palate for more than a few minutes. So definitely take the time to enjoy our 20-year-old Tawny. I happen to have a glass here and I'm lucky. And to finish this tasting, this virtual tasting, I would like to say cheers to everyone who joined the Winchester Wine Fair And in Portuguese, we say saúde. So saúde for all of you.